What's up, everybody? It's Mikhail Casanova back at another episode of Decked Up, a gaming and tech podcast. Today, we're going to talk about, again, the ROG Ally. And what I want to do with this is I want to talk about ways that I think that this could be improved, because I really think this is a great device. I'm not going to be one of those people to say, hey, just get this over the Steam Deck, because I understand they hit different types of end users and demographics and whatnot. But the Steam Deck is a great device. This is also a great one. But there are things on this that I think definitely could be improved. I want to talk about that in this episode. So if you guys are watching this in video format on YouTube, do all the stuff that YouTube likes, especially if you enjoy the podcast and other content I put out. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're listening on audio format, definitely do me a solid. Follow the show on whatever your platform is. If you're a Spotify user, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, whatever the platform is on, make sure you follow us there and leave a rating, especially on Apple Music. It definitely helps out the podcast a lot when you leave ratings. So all that being said, I want to get back to the ROG Ally and talking about this amazing device and what I do think could be improved. Now, the first thing, a lot of people are probably going to say this, like, oh, the battery life needs to be improved. We're not quite there yet. We're not there with having substantial battery lives on pocket PCs, just because, and I understand people like, oh, the Switch has a great battery, but if y'all remember when the Switch came out, the Switch had pretty terrible battery life. You play Breath of the Wild, you're probably going to get like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops playing that before it just kills the battery. And then a lot of other games would just kill the battery super quickly. And then we got the V2, we got the Switch Lite, and then we got the OLED, which had better battery life for the Switch. So that's a different thing, because that's still a console hybrid mobile device first, but it's operating completely different than a fully functional computer. This is effectively a gaming laptop in a handheld gaming form. So yeah, that's not going to have the same battery life as a Switch. So keep that in mind. And while the Steam Deck does have marginally better battery life, you're still going to run into that's also a fully featured computer. So when it comes to these devices, too many people just don't get that idea that this is not going to have that same battery life. So that's not what I want to start off. What I do want this to be better with is the optimization with Windows 11. So because of that, and I know a lot of people don't like Windows as their gaming platform, it is what it is. Kind of deal with it. I just think there should be better optimizations, because even though you can quick select the Armory Crate and the settings for Armory Crate SE, there are times when it will just kind of freeze and hang, or just won't be responsive at all, or you can't make it go away. So if there are improvements I feel like could be made, it definitely would be with Army Crate SE. That needs to be a lot better than what it is. It's not bad for what it is. It just needs to be a lot better, as well as Windows 11 having better optimizations. Like, I know a lot of people say it's not good for a mobile platform, but I personally think that for what it is, in this iteration of where it is now on the ROG Ally and all these other devices that are coming out, the Chinese made ones, and then the ones that are in the works from other companies like Lenovo and, Acer and such, that are going to be, as well as Alienware, they're going to be making their own competitors to the Ally. I feel like the Windows 11 that is out now is really good compared to like Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 10, 10S, all that stuff. Right now, it's good. It's just we need to have better optimization for this type of device. And I feel like if they can do that, money, right? But as it is, it's not terrible. It just could be a lot better than what it is in the current iteration. I do wish it didn't have as much bloatware, I guess you could say, and a lot of people have issue with it, like, oh, why does it have Skype and Teams and all this other stuff? Well, just keep in mind what this is meant to be for. This is literally a fully functional Windows device. So if you want to use this with either the XG Mobile, or if you want to use it with a lap dock, or connect it to your computer with whatever docking solution you have, or not your computer, your monitor, then you can use this as a fully functioning computer. So I understand why that software is there. I just, yeah, I just wish it was a little bit more optimized. The other thing is there are occasions where there are certain games that I've tried to run, like Bionic Commando, and that's more on Capcom's end than it is anything to do with the Ally. You know, that game doesn't run on Steam Deck. It doesn't run really unless you do a lot of tinkering to get that to run on the Ally. Like there's certain games that are like that that just don't run on Windows 11 as a whole. They're just not optimized for it. So that's some things. Again, that's more on the company like Capcom than it is on ROG Ally. But that could be improved. I think the other thing that could be improved is I kind of wish, I know a lot of people have said this too. When it comes to where the micro SD card slot is, I do wish that the slot was on the bottom because this area does get heat, especially being right next to, and I could say the same thing for the auxiliary input, that being right there where the exhaust in majority of the heat is, it could have been put on the bottom. The, well, not the headset port. That could have, I think that should have been like probably more in the center or, you know, somewhere else. But the bottom should, in my opinion, have had the micro SD card slot or even have like a flap where you could pop it up and plug it in there. It not having that, I think, is a bit of an oversight. And I get that they, when they went to design this, they thought it would be a good spot to put it on top. But as we're seeing with the amount of heat, and micro SD cards are meant to have pretty good heat resistance. They can go very, they can deal with a lot of heat. But I do think it should have been placed on the bottom or back slot area where it's not going to be at the center of all of the heat that's pretty much at the top of it. So that's something I think could have been better. They could have placed that in a different area. Now, the other thing I think they should have done better with, or it could have been improved more so, this is more of a nitpick and not really a, something I think they should have included when you purchase the ROG Ally and you get the box. I think that dock that they sell for $40 that has the HDMI out that allows 4K 120 and has VRR support, that should have been, that power adapter slash dock should have been included with the ROG Ally. That should have come with it, in my opinion. That, I think that would have been a game changer in general because the universality of that, you can also use it with the Steam Deck and use it with the Switch. That should have come with the ROG Ally instead of being, hey, you can spend $40 and get this. I mean, for what it is great. I just think it should have, you know, they should have incorporated that into the final retail unit. Um, Other things I think should have been improved, and this is probably one a lot of you might agree with me on. I think that it should have had, instead of you needing to go to the Army Crate SE and update that and update my asus app for the BIOS and everything, and then also doing Windows, I think they should have made it or customize the Windows that we're using and have it where everything downloads to that. Now I understand when you buy, you know, an ROG computer or you buy a HP, what was it, the HP, I forgot what they call them. Um, any particular gaming computer or individual like computer, you do have like their own baked in stuff you need to update, and I understand that. But I think for this device, especially selling it at retail, you should have had just one catch all update that takes care of everything. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of people that have it that aren't the most computer savvy. Now, those of us who are used to dealing with Windows computers, we already know BIOS drivers, specific things to the OEM and all that stuff you got to do update. But I think for a lot of casual folks who are experiencing so many issues with running this device, not realizing that they need to go into 3 different areas to do updates. That is something that should have been, in my opinion, something that it should have just been one thing. Armory Crate SE or Windows updates should be the only thing that you need to do. I think having to go into all these other things, especially with the frequency of updates with Windows, you know, you update one thing, it fucks up something else on your computer. I just think it should have been one area to update versus three. So outside of that, other thing I think could be improved is or should have been added is a way to just do a hotkey either with the multifunction buttons on the back or the back paddles or some other way you can do an input where you can turn off the touchscreen on it where you don't have to go and dig through the settings to when slapped it, or you don't have to like disable it within diving into the settings. I wish I could just do a hotkey and turn off the touchscreen, and that would be for me personally great. But unfortunately, you don't have that capability on this, and that's something I think is an oversight. Um, Other thing is like launching games. You get varying performance between launching games at times through Armory Crate SE versus going through the native launcher and launching it. I understand that the Armory Crate SE overlay is basically their answer to SteamOS's overlay, but there are times when if I run a game through Armory Crate SE, it just shugs and performance issues are just rampant. Whereas, like, if I run it natively through Steam, GOG, Epic Game Store, or if I run it through Blizzard, their BattleNet, it runs perfectly fine. I, again, oversights into like, why do we need these additional layers, right? And I understand you can do custom launchers and all that for it. I don't. Here's the thing too. And this might be like a little bit of a different area to touch on, but I'm personally one. I'm tired of tinkering. I understand people want to tinker and they want to use cryobyte stuff, and nothing against that at all. Use that stuff. That's very useful, or any of these other things that you'll see like Retro Game Core or ETA Prime talk about. Hey, these are ways you can optimize it. I don't fucking want to do all this tinkering. That's just me. That's a me thing. I know that's a me issue. But I don't want to do, if I can do the least amount of tinkering, then I'm going to do the least amount of tinkering. If I don't have to do any tinkering at all, I'm not going to do any tinkering. One, I don't have a lot of time. I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like I saw this comment pop up in one of the Reddit threads where you had folks comment asking, why are there so many people saying that, the Steam Deck and ROG Ally and the Switch are great, if you're a parent and you don't have a lot of time. Like that is legitimately a question. I was like kind of blown away that someone's actually going to ask that, because I'm like, really? You don't understand that? Because when you're a parent, especially a parent that's either full-time parent or you're a working parent, you don't have a lot of time. Like I have a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and I don't have a lot of time to run around trying to catch up with her and try to game or make content. I mean, I'm making content full time on YouTube. I stream over on Twitch and Kick and TikTok. I make content for TikTok. I podcast on 3 different shows, about to be 4. And I do all that along with journalism, upkeeping my website, keeping up with social media and all the different platforms, maintaining relationships with the industry and such. All this underneath being a full-time father. So, yeah, if I can get that time, even if it's a little, like I barely get a lot of time to play games as it is nowadays, which is crazy because multiple what I do is covering and reviewing games. But for that time when I don't have to cover a game and I can play something on my own and I get like that 10, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, maybe 2 hours, then yeah, I'm gonna pick it up and play, especially if my toddler's laying on me sleeping. I think if you're asking that question, maybe you just don't know anyone that's got kids, but sometimes it's like that. Our time is really short. So being able to like pick it up and play right then and there and not have to do all the updates, that's great. I think another thing I want to talk about, something I think could be improved, and this is not on the ROG Ally. I know I went off topic with what I said, but hey, organic conversations on this podcast, they happen. So something else I think could be definitely improved is EmuDeck. Now I know we got big box, launch box, we got all that, right? We also have EmuDeck, but you got to pay on the Patreon to get that to work. Now, you don't have to if you want to use it on your Steam Deck. Just download it, put your ROMs, ISOs, BIOS stuff in the correct folder, and there you go. Not everything runs smoothly. There are some games that just won't run at all. And yes, you're going to have better compatibility and functionality running emulated games on their ROG Ally. Yes. The only problem is EmuDeck, you can't use it offline because the way it is now, because it's in testing, you have to be a Patreon member. It has to connect back to Patreon. And every time you use it, you have to be connected to the internet. And that's as of now, as of July right now. If you were to pay on their Patreon and get it, that's what you're going to have to deal with. I fucking hate that, but I get it's just not optimized for when, even when you do run it, it's not at all optimized fully for Windows. Very annoying. Launch box and big box are there too. It's a process to get those set up as well. And just any emulator, I mean, if you got the time, mouse and keyboard, I would say definitely go ahead and do, set them up as you need. But it is very annoying having to like do all that just to get to your emulated stuff. And again, this goes back to I don't want to do all this tinkering. And this is more of a me thing, but I just think EmuDeck and as a whole as kind of like being known as the catch-all emulator outside of Launchbox and Big Box. It's annoying on this, which is kind of funny because that's my Steam Deck has been regulated to being the device that I do all my emulation on now, outside of my Unlock Pocket. Because outside of that, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not dealing with anything else. I'm not making the effort to set all these things up on here. I should make that effort. I'm just not because I'm lazy. So this right here is literally for current gen and previous gen that I can download from Steam, GOG, Epic Games, what is it, EA's thing, Ubisoft Connect, and Battle.net. That's it. That's all this gets used for. I don't really do anything else with it. Just game. Like I don't, like I said, I don't tinker. Now, I know some people have asked the question. I've seen this pop up several times in the ROG Ally Reddit thread because some people are very curious about it. And that's around should you put a antivirus on your ROG Ally? I'm going to say no because Windows Defender should be enough. If you're just using this for gaming, yeah, Windows Defender that's natively built in should be perfectly enough for it. When you start tinkering with other things like BlueStacks, Launchbox, EmuDeck, and all the other stuff that has permissions within your, you know, device and your account as a whole, because you really don't know what is actually, unless you're like really on the technical side, almost everything wants to access your data and your use case. So outside of that, and if you do start using this for like browsing the web and downloading various things, then you might run into some other issues there. That's when I might be like, yeah, go ahead and download like Bitdefender or WebRoot or any of these, Trend Micro, any of these other web or antivirus software that you can put on here. But for all intents and purposes, out of the box, I think Windows Defender should be perfectly fine. I've not caught any viruses on it, but then again, I don't really browse the web on this thing either. I mean, I could use it for more things like Photoshop, video editing, and such like that. I just don't. I literally use this as its intended purpose as a gaming platform. And it's fine for that. So other than that, those are things I think could be improved. Outside of that, I don't really have any complaints otherwise. Um, I don't care about the battery life because I'm not really going anywhere with it. Like literally, I'm playing it in my house. I'm always connected to Wi-Fi, or if I have it docked, just connected to the router. So, I don't have issues with needing it to be a specific thing or do specific things outside of just gaming. It's perfectly fine. But those are some of the things I think could be improved. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Let's go ahead and talk about it. If you're watching this in video format, in the comment section down below, or if you're watching the premiere, hop in the chat, talk about it there. Or if you're listening to it on any major podcasting outlet, leave feedback and let me know. Outside of that, if you guys want to pick up any games for your ROG Ally, your Steam Deck, or PC in general, or accessories, links to everything is going to be down in the description below, as well as in the first pinned comment for the video format of this. So if you pick up anything, it helps out the channel, gets us a little bit of kickback that we put back into what we do here. Helps keep the lights on too. So all that being said, hope to see you guys in the next one. Hope you enjoyed this episode, Decked Up Gaming and Tech Podcast. And yeah, I'll see y'all around. Stay safe, be blessed, and I'll see you. Peace.